All right, Chris Laughlin here with another Q&A. I'm going to cover some of the questions that I got about coaching. I got about 6 or 7 questions about coaching. Good coaching versus bad coaching, what to be weary of, new coaches, and so on. So I'm going to lump it all together a little bit and just talk about coaching in general. I don't really have a good layout for this, so I'm just going to do it kind of as it rattles off in my head. But let's start with some of the things you want to probably look for in a coach. Right off the bat, if you're looking for a weightlifting coach, make sure that they've done at least a level 1 coaching course. You want to know that they're taking coaching seriously, and that's one of the ways to do it. So look for a coach with a certification, a USAW certification. Um, 2, look for a coach that understands the technical side of weightlifting. They should understand the barbell movements. They should understand how to break down and teach from scratch the snatch and clean and jerk, and then understand the squatting movements, the pulling, and all that. So a coach that understands the technique. Um, Another thing you want to look for is a coach that understands how to play the game of weightlifting. This is one of my pet peeves. You're calling yourself a weightlifting coach, but you don't know how to play the game. That's like teaching somebody how to just throw the ball, but then saying that you're a baseball coach. Um, so know the game as a coach. Look for a coach that is taking athletes to competitions. Find a coach that is actively in the sport, that understands how to warm an athlete up and count attempts, how to change attempts, and so on. That knows how to get an athlete prepared for the competition, understands when to get them ready for weigh-in, and so on. So a coach that knows the game is important as well. Um, you want to find a coach that you're comfortable communicating with. That is probably one of the biggest things. Coaches are going to make mistakes. Coaches are going to uh, have are not going to be perfect. So you need to be willing and comfortable enough with that coach to come up to them and let them know when something's not working, when you're not happy with something. And then that coach needs to be open to that criticism and be willing to adapt and change. So find somebody you're comfortable communicating with, because that's really what develops the coach and the athlete, and y'all develop together and move in the same direction. And y'all want to make sure that y'all are both working together and moving in the same direction. If you're not communicating with your coach, then they're just assuming things are just going well and everything is perfect. So find somebody that you can communicate with comfortably. Find a coach that is progressing and willing to adapt and change. You want to find a coach that's growing in their own knowledge and cues. So if you're an athlete and you're communicating to your coach about a cue that they're giving you regularly, and they're not willing to change that cue or explain it in a different way, then that's not helpful. So you need to find a coach that, if you say, hey, I'm not understanding this, this cue is not making sense to me, that coach needs to be able to change that cue or work with you, or be willing to work with you in figuring out a different way of explaining it and figuring it out together. Same thing goes with anything, the program, the way you're prepping for competition, how you're performing in competition, how the coach is communicating competition. If those things need to change, that coach needs to be willing to change it. So the athlete communicates to the coach decides, okay, yes, let's adjust this and that. And if they're open to those adjustments, you're probably working with a good coach. Um, so those are some of the main things that you really want to look for in coaching. Things you want to avoid would be the counter of all of those things. You want to avoid the coach that has the answers to everything. If they're very stubborn and stuck in their ways and are not willing to adapt to an athlete, then don't waste your time. Your coach doesn't have the answers to it all. Your coach isn't an expert in weightlifting and physical therapy and are able to be your psychotherapist. Your coach isn't an expert in all those things. They need to be willing to say, this is outside of my expertise, here is somebody else that can help you with that, or I don't know the answer to that right now, but I can figure it out, or I can find out the answer to you for you. So find a coach that doesn't just know everything or is very set in their ways. You want to find somebody who's willing to adapt and grow. Um, Definitely avoid the coach that cuts you down. There's a coach out there belittling you. That is just leave right away. It's been proven time and time again that negative reinforcement is nowhere near as productive as positive reinforcement. And a lot of times it just ends up the athlete hating the sport, even if they're amazing at it. So don't stick with a coach that's cutting you down. Um, let's see. You want to avoid coaches that aren't producing athletes. You want to see a coach that can take an athlete from a local level or from scratch to learning the lifts to a local level to a national level to an international level. You want to see that progress in a coach. You don't always need to jump in with that coach that has maybe all a national, international level coaches, or sorry, all international level athletes, because they might have an understanding of how to work with that top 1%, but they don't know how to get you there. They don't know how to develop you. You want somebody who's going to know that path, that has experience, that knows the growing pains of development. So find a coach that has a wide range of athletes, or a coach that you're seeing, all right, this athlete a year ago was here and now they're here. That's the type of coach you want to find. You don't always want to jump in with the coach that has this top elite athletes. It might not be the best road for you to take. Um, but you also want to see progress in their athletes. So coaches that have a wide range of athletes is good. Um, Let me think. So, and then avoid coaches that aren't taking athletes to competitions. Um, Coaches that are involved in the sport, that are taking people to competition, they're the ones that are in love with the sport. They're the ones that continue the sport. They're the ones that can continue to grow. Um, you don't just need a technician. You need somebody who can play the game. So look for coaches that are also have athletes competing and they're going to the competitions with their athletes. So there's a little bit of do's and don'ts as far as looking for coaching. Some do's and don'ts for coaches. Some things to maybe think about and consider. I'll do a little bit more on this type of topic in a later follow-up. Maybe talk about beginning coaches and stuff like that, and athletes sticking with them and developing with them, and what those beginner coaches should be working on and stuff like that. But if you like this and you want more of these Q&As and you're enjoying some of the video analysis that I'm doing and progressions, then please subscribe to my channel. There should be a picture of me somewhere over here, that you can click on, and they'll subscribe to this page, and it'll help us continue to do this and produce more of this. If you've got questions, hit us up. If you want your videos submitted for analysis, hit us up, and talk to you soon. Thanks a lot, guys.